What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to Unstoppable, the Elite Mind and Body podcast for men. Today, we're going to discuss a very important topic, okay? And that topic is a topic that I find so many men, and not just men, okay? If you're watching this and you're a lady, okay, it's the same for you. But I understand more than anything in the world the male psyche. I truly understand what it means to be a man. I truly understand what men go through on a daily basis. And this is an extremely important topic for you to understand and master. The topic is how to stop self-sabotage and achieve more than ever. Okay. Now, first of all, let's define what self-sabotage is. Okay. Self-sabotage is when you, in layman's terms, when you get close to a specific goal or a specific place or a specific level of status, a specific something that you've been trying to achieve, your subconscious mind refuses to allow you to get to that point. So it throws a giant wrench in your plans and you self-sabotage and ruin your ability to reach the goal, get to the place, achieve the thing that you're trying to achieve. That's what self-sabotage is, okay? I'm going to give you a couple examples before I get into this podcast. And as I get into this podcast, you're going to learn not only what self-sabotage is and what some examples are, but you're also going to learn steps that you can take actionably to eliminate the self-sabotage and continue to move forward in the way that you need to move in order to actualize your goals and achieve more than ever before, okay? So let's jump in. Let's say your goal is to hit a certain level of production and or sales in your business or with your career, okay? An example of this is someone in car sales, for example, okay? Or in insurance sales, for example, who's looking to hit a specific quota, a specific target, be the best producer in their industry. Self-sabotage would be that person getting to a week away from the closeout of the month and that whole last week going out and partying because they had the best month ever and wasting all of their time and sleeping in and not doubling down on their efforts. That's self-sabotage. Another example, let's say you get really close to a good financial place where you can buy your first home, buy your first investment, buy your first car, whatever it is. An example of self-sabotage would be you get really, really close to achieving the amount of finances that you need to achieve your goals, but then you go and you blow a bunch of money on clothes or at the mall or on Amazon or something like that, okay? That's a form of self-sabotage. Let's say from a fitness perspective, okay? Let's say from a fitness perspective, you start to get close to a weight loss goal, okay? And I see this happen all the time. Let's say you get close to a weight loss goal. A lot of my clients are 300 plus, 250 plus, a lot of my men. Let's say a client gets to 252, okay? And they haven't been under 250 pounds in months, if not years. What'll happen to that client many times is they'll unwittingly and unknowingly eat extra snacks, drink extra alcohol, and do what they're not supposed to do anytime they get close to 250 pounds because there's a mental block preventing them from getting to that level. Okay, that's self-sabotage. So guys, self-sabotage, and I'm going to give you one last example. Okay, a lot of people will self-sabotage when they get to a certain length of sobriety as well. Okay, so if you're on a journey where you're looking to be sober from alcohol or drugs, a lot of people will get to the 1 month mark, 6 month mark, 1 year mark, whatever the mark is, and will regress and fall back into their old habits. Okay, they'll fall back into the drinking, they'll fall back into the drugs. That again is self-sabotage. Okay, so now that we understand what self-sabotage is, which is literally just you setting a goal, wanting to achieve it, working hard towards it, and then literally from your own, and I'm not going to say the word because we're going to get into it here in a minute, but from your own mind, throwing a giant wrench in your plans. Okay, that's what self-sabotage is. So what I want to do now is I want to break this down for you guys because it's extremely important that we understand where this comes from, like the actual root, okay? The actual root. Self-sabotage is a fear of failure or a fear of success, okay? Self-sabotage is a fear of failure or a fear of success. Now, what that means is If you're getting close to achieving a goal, whatever the goal is, financial, business, weight loss, muscle gain, relationships, family, savings, investing, whatever the goal is, as you get closer to that goal, fear will creep into your mind, whether it's conscious or subconscious. And if it's a fear of failure, it's a fear that once you get to that level or once you hit that goal, you'll go back to the old ways that you were before you got to the goal and regress. Okay? If your fear is a fear of failure, you believe that once you reach the goal, you will go back to your old ways and regress. Okay? Now, what is this a product of? What is fear of failure a product of? Fear of failure is a product of conditioning. Okay? The way that you've been conditioned over your entire life by your parents, by your coworkers, by your friends, by your spouse, by your teachers, by everyone who's had any sort of influence on you. Fear of failure is from past conditioning. Okay. Now I want to talk really quickly about the fear of success, because this is a flip side thing. This is something that a lot of people, you'd be surprised how many people have a fear of success. It sounds funny, but it's very, very true. Fear of success essentially means that as you're getting closer to your goals, fear creeps into your mind that once you reach your goals, once you get there, that you're going to believe that you're an imposter. Okay. And then you're going to regress. Okay. Fear of success means that once you get to your goals, you're going to feel like an imposter and ultimately regress. Okay. Now, where does this stem from? Where does this stem from? Remember, fear of failure stems from your past conditioning. Fear of success stems from your ego. Okay. Fear of success stems from your ego. Now, here's the thing. What changes the ego? The ego is what we believe about ourselves, right? So if you believe that once you get to a certain position in life, a certain level of status, a certain level of income, a certain level of financial prosperity, a certain level of fitness, a certain level of health, life, love, whatever, that you are going to be a fraud, that's your ego telling you that you're not worthy of achieving the goal that you set. Okay? It's extremely important to understand. So far we understand now that self-sabotage is either a fear of failure or a fear of success. If you're afraid of failure, it means that once you get to your goals, you're afraid that you're going to go back to your old ways and regress, which is a product of your conditioning. If you have a fear of success, it means that once you get to your goal, you're afraid that you're going to feel like an imposter and regress, which is a product of your ego. Okay. So the question is, now that we understand this shit, now that we truly understand it, how do we go about changing it? How do we go about addressing these underlying issues of conditioning and ego so that we can achieve more than ever and become the best version of ourselves? How do we do that? There's a 3-step process that I want to share with you guys today. And I want you to get your motherfucking pens handy because this is extremely valuable. Number 1, step 1. In order to shift conditioning and or ego, you must change the programming that is inside of your mind. Okay? You must change the programming that's inside of your mind. So how do we go about doing that? Okay, programming. What does programming mean? Let's start there. So programming essentially means the way that you operate, your core values, your belief, your perception of the world, the way that you think, the way that you act, the way that you speak, the way that you operate. How do we go about programming the mind in a different way so that the way you speak, the way you think, the way you operate, the way that you achieve goals or don't achieve goals all becomes reflective of what you want as opposed to reflecting back at you what you think you were in the past? How do we go about doing that? We start to program the mind by implementing different habits. Number 1, habits to take care of our mental health, habits to take care of our physical health, getting your body under control, right? Getting fit, learning. We also take actions towards different routines that allow us, like ourselves, to suggest to our minds what we truly believe and what we truly need to think. Okay. And an example of this is a morning routine. Okay. If you're not doing a morning routine, you absolutely should be. Another way that we can reprogram the mind is with our specific thoughts that we have every day, right? If you're finding that your thoughts each and every day are negative, or they're self-deprecating thoughts and they're not productive, those thoughts need to be reprogrammed. The fourth thing that we can do is meditate. Okay. And I've talked about meditation in many other episodes. But in order to program the mind, the specific strategies that I would use is, number one, implementing habits to take care of your physical and mental health. That's number one. Number two, implementing a morning routine where you repeat to yourself through affirmations, through visualizations, through journaling, through writing who you want to be, where you want to go, through writing out your goals. That's going to change your programming. Number three is by thinking different thoughts on a daily basis, making sure that the thoughts that you're thinking are positive. And if you find anytime there's a negative thought that comes in, meditate and change the thoughts. If you guys want to learn more about meditation, I might even do a full podcast episode just on meditation because I get a lot of questions about it. But change those thoughts. That's number one. We need to reprogram the mind differently to become more successful so that you can not have these self-sabotaging, self-deprecating thoughts and actions. Step number two is to control your ego. Okay, control your ego, and in order to control the ego, we need to shift your ego from negative place to a positive place. Okay, the way that we shift the ego is through mantras and through affirmations. So I want to share with you guys something. The minute that my eyes open every single day, every single minute that I get out of bed, the very first thing that I think about is my mantras. Immediately when my eyes open, I'm the fucking man. I got this. I'm hungry for success. I'm going to take this to the next level. Nothing is going to get in my way. I know who I am. I am a leader worth following. I'm a man of God, and I know that I'm going to achieve everything that I put my mind to today. Every single time I wake up, every single time my eyes open while I'm still in bed, I list those mantras off in my head, and it allows me to put myself in a place of a positive ego. A negative ego is where you feel like an imposter. You feel like a fraud. You feel like you can't do anything. You feel like you don't believe in yourself. You feel like no matter what you do, everything you touch turns to shit. You feel like everyone around you thinks that you don't have what it takes to do what you're setting out to do. That is the negative ego. And don't worry, if any of the things I just said to you are the way that you're feeling right now, you can change that 100% by doing what I just said. Okay? There is no downside to walking through life believing that you're the fucking man, that you can do anything you set your mind to, and that nothing will get in your way as long as you take action. There is no downside to that. No downside. So it's extremely, extremely important to reinforce a positive ego. And I don't mean be a douchebag. I don't mean be an asshole to people. That's not what I'm saying. Reinforce the belief in yourself that you know who you are and you know where you're going. It's extremely important, especially as men. So that's number two. Number three is to repeat step 1 and 2 every single day. Okay? Because here's the thing, you guys. Human beings are suggestible. Human beings are suggestible. What does that mean? It means that whatever we repeatedly hear and repeatedly listen to programs us to believe certain ideologies and certain things. Okay? So why do you think in the media and the news, they only show you one narrative? One narrative at all times. Why do you think they only show you one narrative? Because they're programming you to believe a certain set of ideologies that will govern and dictate your life. It's the same thing with what we think in our own mind. It's the same thing with what we watch, the people that we talk to, the way that we think, the way that we operate. So we need to focus on programming the mind positively with the right habits, the right thoughts, the right morning routines every single day, and with meditation. And also we need to be controlling our ego and putting it in a positive place every single day with the right affirmations, the right mantras. If we do this, self-sabotage won't be a possibility. Okay? It won't be a possibility because you're not going to be able to allow yourself to self-sabotage because you're not going to believe that you're a fraud. You're not going to believe that you don't deserve what your goals are. You're not going to believe that you're going to go back to your old ways because you're going to be so certain of yourself, in yourself, of yourself, and for yourself that you'll never go back to the way things were. I love you guys so much. Hope you're having an amazing day. We'll see you guys in the next episode. Take care.